Welcome back, everybody. And I feel like it's time to start our final lines here. So I'm going to knock back some of these lines a bit. Once again, I am drawing this all on one piece of paper, where, normally I would probably draw this on a different paper or on the computer, where I could just draw on a different layer or a different sheet of paper. But for this tutorial, so hopefully it's easier for you to see what's going on, I am going to draw it on the same paper, which means I have to knock this back. Okay, so there it is, knocked back, and I did get one little ding up there. When I had erased, I pulled the paper, so you gotta be careful of that. And so this is one way to do your drawing, but obviously you can also, trace on top of it if you had another paper and a light board. And if you're doing it in the computer, you could obviously add a new layer and do clean lines on top of that. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up here just because a lot of it is tracing lines that are already existing, and I don't want to make you sit through, an hour and a half of tracing. So we'll just go fast here. Okay, and a lot of it is deciding, I guess, which lines you want to make clean with the ruler and look straight, and then which ones you want to kind of freehand and kind of give it some texture, or maybe even some clean ones you can do, but you can just do it by roughing it. So you're just going to have to kind of judge. But the last thing you want to do is try to have clean lines and then not have them look clean because you didn't use the ruler. So make sure you use it where you need to. Like if I have straight panels there, I want to make sure they look nice and straight and nice and clean and nice and machined. Okay, so now a lot of things can be added even at this stage by doubling up some lines. Like here I'm doing on those insides of that to give it some volume. And they're on the bottom as well. And now it looks set back a little bit. Okay, so these little kind of cushiony panels on the side I wanted to make look softer. So adding a little texture to them. I didn't use the ruler on those ones. And then up top there. So value is an important part about this. And you'll see is we're going to add a little bit of value here and there. But in theory, if we painted this whole thing, we'd hopefully be adding a lot of value. Okay, so in the pictures, just adding a few little doodles in there to make it look like they're something, some shapes of people, some scenery, and some sorts of things there. Okay, and some more softer lines here, which is kind of freehanding, because we obviously want the pillow and the sheets and all that to look, we want them to look soft. Texture lines help a lot, like I'm added on the corner of the bed there. Just kind of insinuate the shape, but not necessarily connect it. All right, back to some clean lines here with a display panel. All right, trying to hit a lot of those same those lines going in the same direction at the same time, just to speed up things as I'm doing the process. And you can always add details at this stage that you didn't have in your rough. In theory, you want to kind of almost do the minimum you have to do with the rough drawing, and then, add details now. All right, just writing a temperature in there, doing little lines to seem like readouts, and roughing a little human shape there. Generic person-y icon thing. Okay, especially for the bigger lines like that, I want to make sure they look nice and straight. Okay, back to it here. Again, trying to make sure those lines are nice and clean. Doubling those up on the inside, which I did rough out earlier. Okay, and then these little ones here, see, didn't bother using the ruler because I already had used the ruler and had enough there to go on for the little short lines to draw those little handles. Okay, and kind of trying to move, as much as I can left to right and top to bottom, just for the sake of not smearing my lines. So, but it doesn't always work out that way. And if you're drawing in the computer, it doesn't matter at all. So, but when drawing by hand, trying to be a little bit aware. Now, the Prismacolors don't really smudge as much as a regular, pencil. They'll smudge a little bit less, but they'll still smudge. Okay, moving to the window. Again, we got lots of clean machined lines here. So using that ruler, and I've got a stopping point now when I can see the desk or the computer on the desk that's below it. And now I can hit the glass kind of, lines in the middle of the window at the same time because I have the ruler at that same angle. So here we go, hit that one, then hit the 2 lines in the middle, then the one on the end for the back of the frame. Okay, same thing here, 2 lines in the middle, so hopefully it looks like glass there, and the frame. And then again, if I have that line next to that one on the bottom, I might as well hit it now. Well, I've got that triangle right there. It gets really thin up top, so it's kind of hard to make that double line in the middle. So one we'll have to just do, I think, up there. Maybe a little thicker so it looks like it's 2 lines. And then same thing here. This is getting really thin because we're getting really close to the vanishing point. And, the closer you get to that thing, the slimmer all that stuff gets. Okay. Now let's rough out the planet. And then just because it's so white, the whole page, I want to add some value back there. Just so we get some, difference of planes or difference, we can distinctly see the background, when we have it a different value than something in front of it. So trying to fill it in here relatively quickly with the Prismacolor. And I would want to add stars. And again, this would be something that'd be really easy to do, if I'm painting in the computer. And but here, not so easy to do it on top of the Prismacolor. And I didn't want to take up too much time, like trying to color around stars. So I figured I'd just see what the eraser could do. And if we wanted to, we could go ahead and get like some kind of white ink or maybe like white out and kind of paint them on top. But if I were to paint this, I would put it in the computer anyways, and then it'd be easy. So here we go. Add a little bit of texture for the planet there. And always try to, on round things, try to add a little more kind of texture or closer together texture towards the curve where it's most curved, because we'd have most surface area there. The most surface area kind of condensed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, hitting this box. Again, I want it to look machined, so trying to use that straight edge as much as possible. A little bit, you can see under the corner there. And then again, wanted to just break things up a little bit from being so white, everything being so white, so just giving it a little bit of value. Okay, and I wasn't really trying to add lighting to the room where I had a distinct light source and I was trying to shade everything properly, but I just wanted to break some things up because it looks so flat when everything's so white. So here we go on the box, adding some details and little things I didn't rough in the rough draft, but I wanted to add more to it as I went along here. So put some little like rivets in there, and then adding some little like lines there, and then a little kind of indent on the top. All those little details you can add go a long way that you don't necessarily have to like draw in your first rough draft. You can just, add them as you go, especially when you already have like reference there. When I already have a straight line above it, I know where the next straight line is going to be. All right, trying to get the curve of the desk there. Nice straight lines here. And trying to keep those curves even on the corners. Okay, and all the stuff on the desk here. Trying to hit all those lines at the same time that are kind of parallel to the horizon line, if we had a horizon line. Once again, this is space, So no true horizon. Okay, and I didn't add any of this detail here in the rough, so kind of had to make it up as I went here to try and draw some kind of keyboard thing. And I didn't use the ruler for a lot of it. Just I know where my vanishing point is right up above it, and I know I can kind of aim the lines right towards there. So you just have to pick and choose, what needs to be exact, and then what you have it has enough reference on there when I already have lines next to it that are going the correct directions that you can, aim your lines towards it. Okay, so again, add in a little bit of value, like the screen has a little reflection, coming down on it, but keeping it mostly black. Well, not really true black here because we got a color pencil, but dark value. Okay, I'm going to finish up the outside space. I'm not sure why I didn't finish it up the first time. Okay, here's my attempt at kind of erasing in some stars. Did not work so well. So I was debating whether to come back with with whiteout just to pop in some stars at the end, but it's okay. I mean, we get the idea, and you could easily do it if you needed to. All right, miscellaneous little details on this little box tech thing. Little antenna-y looking thing, needle thing sticking out at the top. Wish I could come up with something that it was, but I'm trying to go fast and I really didn't think through it. It always helps to have some kind of idea of what it is because that'll help kind of drive your details. Okay, a little bit of shadow under the desk just to, again, differentiate the surfaces. Helps us like visually kind of read it as curved down, and inside and underneath. All right, roughing out a circle. Make some kind of circular socket. And then trying to draw those wires like they're laying down on the ground and then kind of going up towards the back of the computer, the back of the desk. Again, trying to keep at the top, working top to bottom here. So hitting that vent. All right, all with a nice, clean, straight lines. Trying to keep those lines all parallel. So trying to move the triangle, all at the same time. That way I get them looking as parallel as possible. And then now I'm going back and trying to add in the curves on the corners and then the little rivets. There they are. And then trying to remember that they get bigger as they come towards the camera. Okay, add a little bit of value inside these vents just so it looks like it goes in, and then a little bit of shadow there. Just so it looks a little different than the panels. All right, here's the ellipse on the top of the stool. Giving a little bit of texture lines to differentiate it from other things. And once again, a little bit of a dark value just to differentiate it as well. Okay, some reflections on the stool. Wanted to make it look like it's metal. And just thought it felt very blank over here. So I'm just like, okay, what can I add there? Maybe a little kind of wires coming out the side, coming into some little box thing. Okay, the dreaded table here. All right, it's so big and so round. So, that's why I say dreaded, because you got to kind of get this nice clean line. And it's machined, right? So I got to get a clean line with the pencil. Okay, hitting the sides there with a ruler because I can. All right, and then I put a piece of paper down just because I knew I had to put my hand on top of the rest of the drawing, and just to hopefully prevent a little bit of smearing. And then here we go. This is a dreaded part. Trying to make parallel curved lines like that, just freehanding them. And trying to do it quickly. So, All right, there we go. Paper away now. A little bit of a value under there just so it looked like it was, there was like a space. All right, space juice, space binder. And here you can add little details, like I doubled up the line there just so the binder felt a little thick. Threw in some little lines so it kind of insinuates paper. And then here we go. Got some squares and lines and stuff on the front, so it looks like it's got some writing. Same with the papers here. Throwing on some lines there just so they look like it's got something typed on there or something. All right, and then freehanding all these lines. Just because they're short enough, I can, make them straight. But then when I got to these lines, I guess I decided I better use the ruler. Okay, once again, another parallel curve line. Got the sheet of paper there so I don't smear it. And it's just my hand makes the curves better that way. So, I wouldn't be able to do it if I was trying to make a curve the other way with my hand. It just wouldn't work. All right, so got all that mostly done here. Now working on the right wall with the door and everything. So lots of parallel lines here. So just trying to hit them all at the same time, including the little edge of the lip of the door there. Here we go with a little diagonal part. And then you can see some fixes there. Something felt weird about it. Made it a little slimmer. All right, there we go. Okay, the panel, the buttons here. Making the screen look dark and then kind of roughing in some little buttons. And they didn't quite come out even, so I just set it in just with whatever I decided the size of the buttons would be. So then I added an extra line there to just inset it inside the panel so it didn't look uneven, or as uneven, I guess. All right, we're going to slow it back down to normal speed here because I want to add a little grid on the floor and I want to show you how to do it. All right, cool. And you could just keep adding details depending on what look you want to go for, but like I would add more panels kind of on these walls, just little like grooves, maybe back here and then over here as well. I think that would look kind of cool. And then the floor. So the last thing I want to do is the floor, and we're just about done here. And I don't want to add too many, just a little something to give it a grid. And a little harder now because I have drawn on top of it, right? And it's not the end of the world, but let's see here. Let me just get the end. Just want to mark where this corner of the door, the corner of the wall is. Even there. All right, so right there. And I don't want to add too many or anything, but just to give it some texture. Okay, I can still see the corner here. Okay, so that's the actual corner. So let me see if I can get lucky and get a good measurement here. Nah. Excuse me, let me check centimeters. Well, that's not super helpful. Time to break out the big guns here. The other guns are not long enough. Oop. Sorry, camera. Sorry if you get to see my head. I got to get on top of this thing. Okay, so I'm hitting a half mark. That's not the worst thing in the world. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13 and a half. 13 and a half. Now, how do I break that up? Well, you can get rid of the half by doing a seam on the outside of the room. No problem. So let's add a 0.5 centimeter seam on the outside of a room. And that's also going to be on the side there. Okay, let's just keep this ruler here. I'm going to keep these kind of light. And if it starts mudding things up and makes things look confusing, you can always like do texture lines, you know, that kind of help see direction of surfaces. Okay, and then maybe on the back wall there'd be also a seam. And I'm just gonna eyeball it because it's gonna be in perspective, so it won't be the same thickness exactly. Okay, so there's a seam on the floor. Now I'm left with, let's measure this again. Okay, and I'm left with 13 centimeters, of course. So not the easiest to divide up. Let me think, I can go, well, to do it in half, I could do 6.5. That can give me the middle. So let's go ahead and do that, I guess. I wish I could do thirds. I think that would be cool. Okay, so I'm going to mark it right at 6.5. And I can at least get kind of a line breaking this up in half, a panel or something. Okay, and then, you know, if I make it big enough, the second panel would go off the screen, so it doesn't really matter how big I make it, or I can use the X and get the next one and all that, which wouldn't be too hard. So let's see. Let's just do one where I think it should go, and then we'll see from there. That's not going to go all the way across, of course. Guess we're sticking with this thing. Okay, where would I want the panel to go? I think I'd want it... Here feels a little long. Somewhere here feels okay. Like there-ish. Okay. And I wouldn't see it over there. Okay, now the question is if I would see the next panel down here or something. So to do that, I want to check with an X. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't, but let's just double check. I don't want to not have that there. So I'm going to make a little X right here. See if I can find the middle. Okay, so I can line that up with a vanishing point. That's my next mark. And oh yeah, I think I will see it. Oh yeah. Oh no, it's just off. I was right. Oh, closer than I would like it to be. So if I made an X there all the way, it would go right just off the page. So you wouldn't see the panel. It would be like right out of the frame. Okay. Now, once again, you could break it up further to get more texture on the ground, but I think that's going to be good for me, again, for the sake of keeping this thing at a manageable length. But there we go. I've got a room. I've got a bedroom. It's in space. Can't see the stars too well. It would be nice to come in with some white out and kind of draw those in. But if I was going to paint it in the computer, I could easily paint those in. And I think we'll leave it at that. All right, there we go. We've got a bedroom in space in a spaceship or something. Space station, who knows? Hope you guys got something good. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And hope you guys were able to stick with me through this whole thing. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.